Ideal employer profiles. This is going to be something you need to think about. And if you haven't thought about it, it's probably slowing you down a lot more than you think. Now, an ideal employer profile is literally what it means in the name, your ideal employer profile. Now, if you worked in sales, you would have like an ideal client profile who you knew who to sell to so you can understand what to say to get their attention. Your ideal employer profile is the same thing. So you have to understand what type of company you're looking for. Then you're going to understand a whole host of different things. Half of your battle in your job search is knowing who to reach out to, which companies to apply to, being able to then sell yourself to said companies so those companies will then want to give you a job offer, right? It makes total logical sense. But what every job seeker is doing nowadays is they're just applying for everything and anything. So you want to move away from what most people think is the logical thing of, hey, I'm just going to apply to every job I can. I'm going to cover so much ground that surely I'm going to get a job that way. No, it doesn't work like that. If you're laser focused and you've got an ideal employer profile, you will look in a specific place and you'll know what to do when it comes to getting the attention of these people. Now, think about it this way. If you're looking for every job possible, you're going to just get random news. Some companies that are just not going to be the right fit are going to offer you a job. And that's a really bad case scenario, because if that happens, then you might join a company, leave after 3 or 6 months, and then you're back to square one. So where you join the next job, the next role that you effectively accept if you get an offer, is extremely important. You want to think for the next 20 years. Where are you going to be in 20 years' time? So if you join the right company today, your career trajectory will obviously be more positive if you keep the specificity of what you look for. So how do we know what our employer profile should be, or our ideal employer profile? I like to first think about a couple of things just straight off the bat. Industry. That's the easiest thing to consider. Now, for all of you that are open-minded about different industries, so for example, you might be a data analyst or a business analyst or someone who's looking at, let's say, risk assessment, and you have a focus of all these different industries, and that's great. But I want you to just roll with me on this one. Pick one industry just as a thought experiment, and let's try to figure out where we can go. So you've got finance, you've got tech, you've got AI, you've got health tech, healthcare, you have construction, you have all these different types of industries you can think about. So I want you to imagine, okay, I'm going to pick one. So let's start with an industry. That's number one. Number two, I would then say, in that industry, is there a product type? Is there a particular type of service of that industry that you're open to? In finance, you could look at, let's say, corporate banking. You could look at risk. You could look at insurance. So think of it like a sub-industry of an industry in terms of a product or a service. If you're looking at fintech, it could be digital banking. It could be consumer analysis. It could be all these different like little things. So you have a main industry, and then you have a sub-industry or a service/product. So let's go with AI. AI, software as a service. Within AI, that's your industry/service. Now you've got the industry, and then you've got the service/product. Let's start thinking about what that actual office looks like. Let's look at company culture. Okay, so you've got company culture like structured company culture, traditional. JP Morgan, for example, is very structured, very traditional, very hierarchical. Okay, so that's a structured, traditional, hierarchical type of company culture. You might be looking more for something like Google. So that's innovative. You might be looking at something where the company wants to pay you in shares and a above market value salary and then give you work-life balance. Then you're looking for employee centricity. Maybe you want to join a company that really cares about the clients, the customers. And by the way, disclaimer, I'm sure that there's a lot of companies that care about their clients, but some companies really want to show that they do even more than others. So that would be client centricity as a company culture. So there's so many different types of company cultures, and your ideal employer profile is going to be predicated on the answers you answer. And there's no right or wrong answer here, by the way. It depends on you. You know, someone you speak to, they want to work for Google. Another person you might speak to, they want to work for JP Morgan. Another person wants to work for an NGO, and they don't want to be paid practically anything because they want to give a lot of themselves to the cause that they believe in. And that's great, but not everybody's like that. So there's no right or wrong answer specifically for you. So that's important to know and to think about, okay? Now, you've got your industry, you've got your sub-industry, service/product, and you've got your company culture. And that's a great beginning. Then you want to start thinking about your soft skills. Okay. So we're going to add all of these up, by the way, and then we're going to have an ideal employer profile. So your soft skills: are you a communicator? Do you work well within the team? Are you empathetic? Are you emotionally intelligent? Are you adaptable? There's so many different things to think about. So think of it like a combination. Okay, I've got my industry, I've got my service, I've got my product, I've got my company culture type, and these are the soft skills that I can bring. So I want you to kind of write all of these things down. And towards the end of this video, I'll explain what I would do. So then you start to think, okay, so I've got, this is my sort of like, I call it a soft profile. So my soft profile is going to be the match to the ideal employer profile. And then when you're in an interview or a meeting, it's going to be so much easier to just pass interviews, sell yourself more effectively, excuse me, sell yourself more effectively, get to the point in terms of like, hey, this is why I should be in your company or in your role. And it just makes everything so much simpler. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So you've got your industry, you've got your service / product, you've got your company culture fit, you've got your soft skills. Okay, super, super important. So your soft skills like your glue to all of these things before. The next thing I want you to think about is your personality type. Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Is there a quirky thing that you have that fits into an industry? Do you have attention to detail to like some insane level, like Mike from Suits, where you can memorize everything? Or are you such a people person that you can walk into a room and everybody likes you and you remember everybody's name? That's a personality trait that you can add into these little metrics. So that builds your soft profile. Then you have a measurable metric. A measurable metric could be, if you have experience, what are the transferable skills that are measurable to the role that you want to do? Okay, so if you've got client-facing experience, let's say you work in sales, but now you want to take a technical role, does that technical role have a stakeholder communication responsibility? If so, your sales experience is a measurable metric that will be useful to your soft profile, so you can build your ideal employer profile. Okay, so now we're really building something here. Hopefully this is all making sense. So you've got your company culture fit. You've got your industry fit. You've got your industry sub fit, which is your service or product that you're interested in. You've got your company culture fit. You've got your soft skills. You've got your personality trait. Then you start to think about the measurable metric that I just said. Okay, so that's really, really important. Now, to top it off, if you want to kind of go extreme with this, you can really be clear about your career progression. Where do you want to be in that type of role that you're thinking about? Now, the more specific you are, you're going to start to feel a little bit guilty if you don't have a lot of experience. You might start to think, well, hang on, Milo, I don't really have a lot of experience. I can't really be that picky. And I'm with you there, but I want you to think about it slightly differently. The companies that you want to work for have a very similar problem as to you. They have 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 resumes over 6 weeks, sometimes even more, and they don't know who to pick. Ideally, from a company's perspective, they want someone who wants to work in that industry, understands their service or product, really will be a positive fit to the company culture, has the soft skills that shows, especially with AI and technological advancements, that you're going to stay in the company and that you're going to grow within the company. The personality type is a good fit for the product, service, industry type, or even job role. The measurable metrics, if you do have other experience or academics, that's transferable. And your career progression is something where, let's take an example, you have leadership qualities, you want to work in an innovative type of company, you like tech, and you want to work very closely with AI as a service or product. And because of your leadership quality, you want to run a team. So you want to find a company that's going to take you seriously, or more seriously than someone who doesn't have leadership, to then give you an opportunity and pay you better and actually acquire you faster. Okay. So I want to kind of get you to think about it this way. Let's say I'm a recruiter. Okay. And I present 2 candidates to one company. Let's pick a random company. Let's use Google. I think Google's a good example here. And I say to Google, okay, Google, I have a candidate who's just willing to get any job. They're really good. Trust me. They're looking for anything. They just want a job. And then I have another candidate who wants to work in tech, who likes beanbags, really, really good with working with people, like loves AI, just is thinking about nothing but AI. And you know what? They're really good at working with a team. They've got such a pleasing personality. They're super extroverted and they will just work 24/7. Which candidate do you think Google's going to pick? Now, I know I've embellished the latter, but I want you to think about it. The reason I was able to kind of be a little bit more proactive about the latter candidate, because I had more information that was a good fit. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and tell a recruiter all these things. You become the recruiter. If you have an ideal employer profile, you have enough ammunition to be able to sell yourself more effectively. Go out into the marketplace. There are a ton of companies, no matter how difficult it seems. There's a ton of places, ton of jobs, tons of opportunities. You have to go out there and get it. Use your LinkedIn. Start connecting with people. Okay. This will generate so many opportunities for you. It's super, super important to even think about this. Okay. Now, if you like this comment, doesn't cost you anything to do this, and it makes my day. Like and subscribe. You would literally make my day because I get a little ping, and then I think, oh, another viewer who loves my content. It gives me more confidence to build this as well for you. And in the comments, I want you to write down if there's anything you want me to talk about specifically. Now, in the description, I've added a free training that goes into more detail about an ideal employer profile. And I think you would use that very, very wisely if you actually use it on a day-to-day basis. It will change the way you job search, and it will change the amount of offers and the quality of offers that you get. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.